Hey guys, hope we are all doing well. Welcome along to Affinity Racing and welcome to the first edition. Been meaning to do this for a very long time. The first edition of driver ratings post Grand Prix. Our first episode is the Australian Grand Prix, which took place very early in the morning. I'm just about waking up and it's, what time are we on? We're just before 8 o'clock. I'm only just about getting round to face the day. We're going to kick things off and we're going to dive straight in. Up top was Charles Leclerc. Absolutely bossed this race. Very lucky on the second restart. I did think that Max was going to have him, but he didn't, and just about managed to hold on to that one. But all in all, he had the pace. I think if he did lose the position, he would have had it straight back, or we would have had a nice little duel anyways, and he would have got it back eventually. And of course, he inevitably would have done because Max did not finish, but we'll get on to that in just a second. And as we've seen, even on heavily used tyres, I noticed lap 34, he went and set a fastest lap. And then right at the end of the race as well, went and set another to deny Fernando Alonso. I didn't quite understand why he pitted when he did. Again, we'll get onto that. Alonso to try and set a fastest lap. Apart from taking the point away from Ferrari, who Alpine aren't really racing, didn't quite get it. We'll jump on that in a second. Max Verstappen, absolute nightmare of a day for him. Power unit issue of some sort. Yet to be confirmed. Exactly what that is, we're not too sure. I think these first three races, I know he won round 2 actually, but round 1 and 3, those 2 of the first 3 races, I think are an absolute killer to his championship hopes, and for a few reasons. I think Ferrari, obviously, Charles Leclerc, with the 2 race wins now, and 2 races where Max hasn't even scored second. So, you know, it's not like it's a 5 or 6 point difference in those races. It is a 25 point lead that Charles is gaining here each race. And I also think, of course, Mercedes, even McLaren as well, these teams are going to start to gain pace. They're going to start climbing up the grid and putting a bit more of a challenge to the front runners, which is going to make it harder again for Max. It's not going to be a 2-driver battle, a 2-driver shootout. And I think this is going to make things very, very difficult for him. So my money at the moment is on Charles for the championship win, or for at the very least the Drivers' Championship. Sergio Perez, tremendous result for him. Very, very well deserved, I think. It was called on Sky F1 there that a solid drive was maybe not what Perez wanted to hear from Christian Horner over the radio. But yes, a very, very good drive, a very, very good drive indeed. I think it's fair to say that Max would have had that P2 had that not have happened. But, you know, you've got to be there. You've got to take the chances that you get in racing. And he certainly did. We didn't see too much of Perez. Didn't see too much of what it was that he was doing strategy-wise. We didn't see too much of his race. But 2 great moves around the outside to take the places from the Mercedes. Moving on to the chap who started at P4, which was Lando Norris. He did drop 1 position, but overall P5 and P6 for Danny Rick was tremendous results. I think he would have been wishing Lando Norris perhaps for a few more opportunities throughout the race, but he did admit, I think it was Martin Brundle's grid walk if I remember rightly, that he didn't think he would have the pace to... He said his main fight was probably with Mercedes. Didn't believe that they would have the pace to push on up the grid. Certainly didn't want to drop back, but I think losing 1 position is probably not all too bad. And a double points finish for McLaren, so very, very happy with that. Especially considering I think that they would have probably... at the start of the race, preferred to have been in the Lego car that turned up during the practices, I think Thursday or Friday, that you may have spotted on Instagram. I think both drivers would have probably preferred before the weekend to be going out in that. Lewis Hamilton started P5, finished P4, gains himself 1 position. Very, very unlucky to have missed out on the safety car just after Perez had actually gotten round him. I think that might have been the first time Perez got round him. Did he get round him twice? Can't quite remember. But anyways, very, very unfortunate timing, that one. And of course, George benefited a little bit more than Lewis did there. Getting on to George, started P6, finished P3, up 3 positions, of course, gets himself a podium. A very, very deserving podium. Would he have had that if Max was still in the race? Probably not. but an awesome result for him all in all. Seemed to do very well trying to hold up the Red Bulls, not necessarily hold up to slow people down, but holding pace against the other drivers on the track. Very funny moment, however, when his engineer told him to let Perez pass if it was going to cause him or force his tyres into an earlier pit stop. And when he came back and said, that's not what I want to hear, I think we all had a little chuckle at that one. But a well-deserved podium, as I say. Danny Rick, P7 up to P6. He'd be very happy with that. First points finish, double points finish for the team this season. Awesome stuff. Considering where McLaren were at the back end of the last race, I think they will take that result all day long. Esteban Ocon started P8, finished P7, up one position. I did have him down as having finished P8, but I think he must have nabbed a position a little bit last minute, whether that was pit stops or something along those lines, whatever it was. We didn't see too much of him. I think that's the reason why. Just one of those drivers that wasn't really covered in the race, in the coverage. Carlos Sainz, a P9 start, but of course had that dreadful DNF. I think it was lap 5 where he went and beached himself. 0 out of 10 for him. Not very happy with that one, I doubt. Fernando Alonso, Alpine there, started P10. This is what I didn't understand. Finished P17. He was in a decent spot. I can't recall if he was forced to pit, if he just hadn't pitted. My understanding was that he pitted to go for a fastest lap, but I didn't understand what that would benefit, trying to take that away from Ferrari. But either way, anyways, yeah. So he started P10, finished P17. He was up to P6 at one point, which he might have been wishing for another safety car perhaps before they went into the pits. Should have realistically been in the points, especially with Max and Carlos Sainz not finishing up in front. So yeah, maybe it's a 2 out of 10 for him. Pierre Gasly started P11, finished P9, up 2 positions, gets himself in the points. Again, did he get that because of the 2 DNFs up in front of him? Well, we're not too sure, but we didn't, and only because we didn't see much coverage of him. Seemed to be doing okay, holding out very good pace, and we've seen some decent overtakes from him. And a little feature I'm going to do here is move of the day, which he is a contender for. So a decent result for him, maybe 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Valtteri Bottas, awesome result for him. Started P12, finished P8, so a decent result in the points. Held up by Stroll through quite a bit of the race, as were many drivers, by the way. Speaking of Stroll, his move on him, I think it was lap 41, 42, something like that. Stroll seemed to be very late on the brakes. We haven't seen any replays of it, or many replays. Very late on the brakes. Lucky, first of all, not to collect Bottas. And just a very, if it was him attempting a move, I think it was very brave. I think it was a big risk. Brave isn't the word, because I think it was probably a bit miscalculated, if anything. And yes, I think that Bottas was very unlucky there, because he lost out 2 positions, if I remember rightly. So yeah, but he would have just been thankful that he didn't cause safety car or yellow flag number 1 billion. Overall, P8, be very, very happy with that. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 for that one, because it was a solid race all round. Yuki Tsunoda for AlphaTauri, of course, started P13, finished P15. Not too sure what was going on with him. We did... every time that it was on screen, it seemed as if it was being overtaken. But yeah, missed out massively on the safety car. Both AlphaTauris actually missed out massively on the safety cars. I think both instances they just miscalculated their pit stops, or sort of misguessed. GUANYU Joe GUANYU, we did not see too much of him again. Another driver, I didn't actually have any notes for him at all, but unfortunately, another driver that did not get much coverage. Started P14, finished P11, up 3 positions, not too bad. I think considering this guy is still a rookie in his first year, we can't be too harsh on him. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 for him. Mick Schumacher, I think overall, despite gaining 2 positions here, which I actually did not realise in the race, probably will not be too happy with his performance. He almost collided with Yuki Tsunoda under the safety car as they were all going along the pit straight, which was very, very close. Yeah, so he just not be too happy. A lot of instances where he was either misbraking which caused locking up or just some issues with not managing the not being able to manage the tyres all too well. I think maybe it's a 5 out of 10. He'd probably not be too happy with that, despite gaining 2 positions. Whether or not they were overtakes in the race or just default of the 2 DNFs up top, I can't quite recall. Kevin Magnussen, though, right behind him, started P16, also up 2 positions. I think both those guys just pretty much stayed where they were. His move on TSUNODA on the new corner, though, designed for overtaking. I think it was, I can't remember which turn it was, but the new one, anyways. They took out the it was a more open corner, turn 9, turn 13. I'm just shouting out numbers now, but it was a bit more of a harsher braking zone for someone to go for a lunge. A very nice move indeed. Just turned in the car, slammed on the brakes, got the job done. Sebastian Vettel, Aston Martin, of course, P17. DNF, absolute nightmare weekend for him. He will not be happy. I don't think there'll be a minute of that weekend that he would like to recall, all the way from Friday's practice sessions and throughout. Just, yeah, an absolute nightmare of a weekend. 2 out of 10. No disrespect to Vettel. We all love him, but he'll be wanting, that'll be a weekend to forget for him. Latifi, we'll get on to him now. 2 positions gained. Again, perhaps I think just default to the DNFs up ahead. P18, finished P16. Didn't see much of him in coverage, but thankfully didn't manage to go the weekend without causing a safety car. Or actually, sorry, I rephrase that. Didn't manage to be thankful that he managed to go the race without causing a safety car, because we had that incident in qualifying. Again, probably not too happy with that. 5 out of 10, because no good, no bad. Lance Stroll, Aston Martin, of course, P19 up to P12. Now, I think he'd be quite happy with that. Of course, that's 7 positions gained. Noted for weaving on the straights with a 5-second penalty for that. And his move on Bottas was noted, where he ran him wide. I think there should be a penalty for that. Whether or not he would get one, it's going to be decided after the race. I don't know. But overall, he's not in the points anyways. Doesn't make too much difference. I think at one point he was up to P7, P8, something like that. But yeah, anyways, is what it is. Alex Albon, driver of the day for me, actually. I was going to say Charles Leclerc was my driver of the day. I'm going to say he's joint up there with Alex Albon. 10 out of 10. Started P20, finished P10, which means 10 positions. Up to 10th in the race, managed to stay there. Albon, by the way, I'm a little bit biased, is one of my favourite drivers on the grid, without doubt. And I just wish that he had a bit more of a competitive car. If he was in something like the Alpha, I think I would love to see that. A lot of midfield racing, there was signature moves round the outside, holding it round the outside, defending it round the outside, overtaking and gaining the places round the outside. We all know Alex Albon loves a move round the outside, but I would just love to see him fighting a little bit more than what we know he's going to be doing in the Williams. Hopefully the Williams can push themselves up the field a little bit more. However, I think for the moment, it's just nice to see him back in F1, because I was devastated when he got dropped from Red Bull without being given a seat back in the AlphaTauri. But yeah, I was desperately hoping for points for Albon. I thought it was going to be off the cards, totally off the cards, when I seen that he'd been disqualified from quali. But absolutely awesome result. And I think Williams themselves as well will be very happy with that, considering this time last year, if Williams were starting P20, they were not expecting points, and they knew they weren't in the points. So to think that that is possible, if he can start a little bit higher up the grid and be a bit more competitive, as we say, throughout the season, then who knows for Alex Albon. But yes, benefited from the virtual safety car from Max, no doubt about that, and jumped a few positions by not pitting. Thought he was going to lose out a bit more by going into the pits, I'll be honest, but he didn't. So job is a good and 10 out of 10, as I say. Move of the day was either Gasly on Stroll, I think it was, in turn 1, lap 50-ish, 49 or 50. I don't think we saw replays of it. In fact, we definitely did not see replays of it. But the camera angle that was showed just made the move look so dramatic, so late, so awesome, round down to the inside, beautiful lunge. I just hope that it was as dramatic and was as clean and awesome as that angle that we saw made it look. Failing that, Kevin Magnussen on Yuki Tsunoda, which I already mentioned, that new corner there, turned straight in on the brakes, lovely move. I'm probably going to give it to Gasly for his move on Stroll, because Stroll for some reason just seemed to annoy me today, so maybe that's why as well. Holding everyone up the way that he did, I don't know. But anyways, that is that. Hope everyone's enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing these hopefully after every race. I may even do it after qualifying sessions as well. Let me know what are your driver ratings, who was your driver of the day, and we're going to start a new feature, which is move of the day or overtake of the day. Who do you give that to? Let me know in the comments below. Really hope you've enjoyed this. Subscribe so that you do not miss future videos, future live streams as well. We do a lot of sim racing, Gran Turismo and all that sort of stuff, and a little bit of F1. I'm not very good at F1 though, on the channel, so make sure you subscribe for that as well. We're going to be doing lots of giveaways, all that sort of stuff, competitions and everything else related to sim racing, motorsport and F1. So yes, subscribe and I shall see you in the next video. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe for future videos, future episodes and more content just like this. And while you're down there, make sure you check out our description for links to our merch store to get hold of awesome t-shirts just like this one. Any orders on the merch store goes a long way to supporting channels just like this. I also think the t-shirts look pretty cool, so make sure you grab what you can and I shall see you in the next episode.